Hello, everyone. My name is Zachary Ballard.
I'm Chris Vlamakis.
I'm Josh DeMee.
And I'm Alina.
Alina is my wife. I've mentioned her a few times. She's wonderful and knows what she's talking about with animation.
Yeah, I'm an illustration and graphic design student, and I really love animation. I'm taking my first animation class next semester. And so that's why I recommended Pirates Band of Misfits because I like animation, and this is a
And
great
this fits
one.
with our last couple of
Yeah,
movies.
so we're reviewing Pirates Band of Misfits. Uh,
Yay, pirates. I love pirates.
Yar
yeah,
booty.
yeah, we're doing Pirates. Next is going to be Captain Phillips. Um, I I surprisingly enjoyed
Yeah.
this. I asked Alina before we watched it. I'm like, am I going to like this?
Both Zach and I know when we went in to watch this movie, we're like, yeah, we're not sure if we're going to like this because I think we both
It's
had
good.
for
It's
some
good.
reason, like we both had the misconception that this was like more aimed toward very young children. And obviously this is still a kids movie, but like it has a lot of family friendly adult humor, if I can call it that, if that makes sense. And
It's
yeah,
borderline.
Well, okay. I need to explain something. So this is by Aardman Studio, which is
yeah,
a British
this,
motion
yeah,
animation studio. And so the humor in it is very British, and it's a very American idea that cartoons
it's
are
true,
only
it's
for
true, yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the same studio that did
yeah,
movie
so I
that
think
does
that's
like
why
Wallace and
there's
Gromit and like
more.
Chicken Run and stuff like that.
Cheese grommet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Aardman Studio. They did all of those. But this one, they also teamed up with Sony Animation, which has done a lot of hit and
Yes.
misses.
Yeah.
They did Open Season, and which I didn't personally like, but then they also came out with like The Amazing Spider-Man and Arthur
Hmm.
Christmas. So they work in partnership on quite a few movies.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, let, let's get right into it. I guess I'm not sure what do you guys want to talk about
Yeah.
first.
Well, when Chris and Alina and I were watching it, Chris was like, "It's going to be the power of friendship that saves him,"
It
and
was.
it was. It was the power of friendship that saved him. So
The real
I think
treasure.
I think the theme was less
Hello.
friendship.
Yeah,
It was yeah,
and
it
we
was
And
have
relying on your
Jonah now
friends.
yeah,
joining
loyalty.
us
Yeah.
as our returning latecomer.
Jonah has entered the fight.
So we're just talking. We just barely started. We're talking about theme, and we're basically this theme. It has friendship, and I jokingly said that the real treasure is the friends we made along the way, and it became that theme. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just like it very much showed like it's kind of a reused kind of a shtick that obviously the main character is going after a goal with a bunch of people supporting him, and then he goes so hard into the goal, he shuns the people supporting him, and then he realizes, oh my god, I had it so good before.
Yeah.
Icarus.
Icarus. Yeah. Kind of like Icarus.
In a sense, I can
A
get
little bit.
some feeling towards that, yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
theme is friendship.
I
Uh,
I can I think the next one we should talk
so
about just because like I recognized a lot of the voices and looking into it, I think we should talk about like actors and acting. Obviously, it's an animated movie, so physicality of things can't be shown. But like this movie had a pretty decently big cast. Like
Yeah. I
there
mean,
was
Hugh Grant was the
yeah,
pirate
there's
captain.
Martin Freeman,
Yeah.
Imelda Staunton, who
David
was
Tennant,
God, what's that teach? Dolores, yeah,
Dolores
Dolores
Umbridge.
Umbridge, and she plays Queen Victoria, one of the villains in the movie. David Tennant was Charles Darwin, and the choice to make Charles Darwin kind of a villain for most of the movie was an interesting and great choice. And like
Also, like the biggest simp for Queen Victoria
she
ever.
was, he Charles Darwin simps for Victoria.
so good. Um, yeah, I thought the voice acting was really solid. I didn't have many complaints about it. You know, it was
Yeah.
kooky. They were really Like, and it's very easy for like comedic things like this to go
Mhm.
over the top, but they were like really
Yeah.
grounded
A-
in what they were
And
saying. Well,
I feel like they had a lot of like their humor and their comedy was like it hit at good
yeah, and you
points.
could
Yeah.
tell where
oh
like
yeah,
the actors took a little bit of liberty. I think one of the things that I noticed was with David Tennant and Charles Darwin, there were a few times where, and Tennant does this a lot in a lot of his roles, where there he has this stutter that he purposely puts into the voice of like especially characters who get like flustered, and
Hmm.
you can hear it so
hmm
well, and that combined, like, I'm not sure if he did it first or that it was directed. I'm assuming that he did it because he does it in a lot of his live action roles as well, and it went with the character so well. Like David Tennant's one of my favorite actors, and like to see that he can translate that well into just voice acting too means that he's
Yeah.
very flexible.
Yeah. I
yeah.
would like to talk about my favorite actor in this entire thing for a moment.
Yep.
Bobo the monkey,
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my
who
God!
was
When
easily
he
the
pulled out
best.
the gun, I was dead. I was like, no. And there was one point where I said, "Uh-oh," and it was the
I
first time and then 2 seconds later he pulls out, "Uh-oh," and I'm like, okay, here we go. I have the comedic timing of a monkey in a suit.
Yeah.
Well, this whole movie is just Chris's humor
Yeah.
back
Oh,
to
like
back, like with the
I didn't
whale coming out
expect
and
anything.
landing.
Like the big comedic comedy points, like there were some times where I threw out a guess and it was in the realm of possibility, but I didn't expect a fucking thing that like the whale appearing out and there's just gold and the monkey with the gun and just like all the
Or Queen Victoria's
oh my
iron
that was
dress.
so
Okay.
know
like
that was
she
great.
starts walking
My
towards him and he
my
has the frying pan's like what are you gonna do and she fucking pulls out two katanas from her like Iron Maiden dress and I was like what is does a like a quintuple backflip. Like this movie for the people out there, if you love random spontaneous humor, this is the one of the most like in my opinion one of the best that I've seen in quite a long time for that type of humor. Like this fits under the same
yeah.
category. I was feeling same vibes as like watching like Hot Fuzz and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like the fact where it's like oh,
Yeah.
there's some tropes. Here's some stuff you can predict and everything like that. But then suddenly it's like, what the hell is going on?
Since we're talking about like actors and acting, I just like I want to give a shout out to the
Yes, that's
animators
actually what I was going to talk about.
because
Because obviously, like an animated movie can't be animated, but it like it made it. They made the characters, as I mentioned before, with like David Tennant, made them feel like they were actually saying the things, like they were alive.
Yeah.
yeah, like they put so much work and effort into recreating those facial expressions
Hmm.
and creating those movements. Like all of them have their own
Oh
distinct
yeah.
walk. And that's something that an actor would do. And they probably got help
Hmm.
from the actors for inspiration. But just thinking about like all the animators working to bring those characters alive is just so cool.
hmm
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I really enjoy this style of animation. I've always thought like claymation is really easy on the eyes for me. Like it's just like it's so simple and it's just so soft and it's just good. The one thing though that irks me is the teeth. It's the teeth in this animation style
when I
that just
when I look
grinds
at their
my
teeth,
gears.
But
most
that's
of the
the
characters, the
Oregon
teeth feel British to
style.
me. Is that might be a weird thing to say, but I think like if you look at it, like I think it's because of years of looking at like Wallace and Gromit. Like if
Hmm.
you look at his teeth, it very much the way the voice actor speaks and his mannerisms and stuff like that, it sounds like a character with those teeth would talk like that. Um,
That's
and
Yeah.
like
true.
having big wide teeth that kind of maybe have a little bit of misshapen or have those gap in it is kind of a thing that is synonymous with like even British people will talk about how bad their own teeth are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the one thing with that animation that's like everything's soft and smooth and then it's just the teeth. The teeth are
Like
right
Queen
there in your
Victoria's
face.
teeth.
Okay,
Yeah.
One thing that cracks me up every time I watch this is their hair is clay, and then you have my favorite character who is the surprisingly curvaceous pirate,
Yeah.
and her real hair is clay, but then they used actual textured
Yeah,
hair for
For
her
her beard.
fake
and she was
beard.
Yeah.
And you can tell that it's real hair because it's all
yeah.
practical.
It's that's a fun detail because it's like obviously she's a woman and it's like well no one knows because she has that beard on and the beard is less real than everyone else's hair in a sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And one of my favorite parts is when like the pirate captain and pirate
Yeah.
with the scarf are, getting kind of like it's a tender moment and then the
Yeah, and she
pirate
like
captain looks him up
goes
and down. He's
behind.
like, "You're not actually a woman disguised as a
You know,
man,
it
are
actually
you?"
happens a lot.
And you just see her like glide away.
The, she was thick though. She was surprisingly curvaceous.
Yeah.
You right.
I bet she loved getting that bath though. Like I being a woman, I know that like baths are important. You need them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a man, I know
Yeah.
that baths for I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna stop right there. Anyway, yeah, do we have anything else to say about the animation?
It was good. It was this studio has consistently put out good stuff for decades and like you can see
Yeah.
their style goes with the time and improves but they have a very distinct style that was
Yeah.
Yeah.
recognizable.
Did you
I
want to
yeah, yeah. I really enjoyed the animation of this, especially since the majority of it is stop motion, and then they enhanced certain things with the
Mhm.
computer graphics and that type of thing.
Yeah.
So our one of our recent videos we just released was a Lego stop motion video that I did. So watching this, was really interesting for me to be able to watch that and see how they were animating certain things. But also, whenever Brian Blessed voices
Yeah.
anything, I get excited because I love his voice.
Yeah.
Um, and he was the Pirate King, and I was just like, yes, you know, he has
Yeah.
a voice that was made for that. So I
Yeah.
got excited about that. But yeah, the animation was just brilliant. Um, and kind of speaking of British, brilliant is British people using that context. But
I
um,
feel like stop motion is kind of swept under the rug a lot.
Oh yeah. I have a comment
yeah,
about that
Because
after
like
you.
because it would take like I could never do. I'm gonna leave it to you, Jonah. Whenever we do stop motion, because I do not have the patience to freaking do
I
stop
know.
motion.
Yeah.
Give
It
me
is
20 minutes
awful.
I'll
To
make
put
a
it
whole
in
movie. Watch.
Well, to put it into perspective, if you're doing 2D traditional animation, you get out about like 20 seconds a week, and that's working every single day, full days.
Yeah,
If you're working in CGI, you can get a couple of minutes in. When you're working in stop motion, you get about 6 seconds
Hmm.
every week, and that's working full hours every day of the week. It
Yeah.
takes
yeah,
a long time. And talking about stop motion being swept under the rug, one of the reasons why I love stop motion so much is because everything in the shot is really there. Like everything that's on the
Yeah.
bookshelves,
Yeah.
everything that's on the desk, the costumes, like everything is actually there. And
yeah,
I love Aardman Studios because they just pack it full. They pack the background with
yeah,
the most hilarious items, and
The
it
yeah,
paintings
brings
in the
so
in
yeah,
many
the
fun
pirate
Easter eggs.
captain's cabin.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
and
The
that's
paintings and all
something that
that.
you don't tend to get with 2D animation because they tend to keep the backgrounds pretty simplified in 2D animation. And so
Hmm.
that's really something that you only get with stop motion, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
I know. And speaking of that, something that I wanted to talk about this is especially in this scene when he goes up on stage to accept the award and everything. Behind him, this when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, that is really really cool. Because behind him, you can see into the theater wing, and you can see like a
Oh wow,
rigging
yeah,
and a flight
that's a
That's
system
level of
cool.
and
detail
like
Uh-huh.
a
most people
and
don't
all
care
that. And
about.
I was like,
That
yeah, I was like, that is like that's in the background. You know, they could have just hung a curtain there, you know, and put them in front of a curtain. But the fact that they set it up where you can see into the wing and you can see these rigging ropes and an old hemp line system that they used to have with sandbags and everything
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah,
that was really cool.
yeah, and that's a good segue into location and set. Because it is insane to me how they build
they
everything.
built the
Yeah.
Like,
world. Like it
Mhm.
made each
yeah,
scene felt like a fairly unique world. Like and like
mhm.
obviously it's just like on top of what Elena was talking about with the meticulous nature of having to do like even just the characters stop motion, like having to do the like all the scenery and like and stuff like that, and added like you mentioned it while we were watching it, Zach. Like that water looked very good. Like it looked
Oh
very
yeah,
good,
it's
and
phenomenal.
everything just felt like it felt like it was in that real in that world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And like an interesting thing is with stop motion, um, they have to make the characters first before they can make the world because they need to. So they design the puppets, and usually puppets are anywhere from 6 to 12 inches long. And so they make the character first, like the main character, and then they make all the other characters around that character, and then they make the entire world around the size of those characters.
Yeah.
And so it's cool because you think of it like you create a world and then you put characters to fit in that world. And this is the opposite. You create characters and you create a world for them to explore and live in.
Well, and with
Hmm.
stop motion specifically, they have one other thing that they have to take into context here, and that's the size of the camera and where they're going to be able to shoot from. So as
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
building this world, not only are they thinking about the characters that they've built, they're thinking about where the camera's got to go, how they're going to get these shots. And there's some like when they're in London, there's some really tight places that those sets were very meticulously made perfectly to make it feel almost claustrophobic.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and this is a good segue into like lighting and cinematography, is like the the angles. Like I'm thinking specifically of when they get to London. Like they made London feel like Sweeney Todd London. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they
Yep.
and before like the pirate world, like in the Caribbean and stuff, it was all happy and bright and beautiful. But then they get to
It's just
London and it's
awful.
just like
It's a
it's
Victorian
just so bad.
hellscape. It's like there's pirates in cages, friendly pirates in cages, and there's a big sign.
Oh, that scene where he's like driving
It's like, oh,
by, he's like
and they're just having a
floating by,
nice
having a
conversation. Like they're like, "Hey, man, it's been so long. What have you been doing?" Oh man, it's been great.
Just hanging
Anyway,
around.
I'll call you, okay? Okay. But
And
yeah.
and there's so like this is where intelligent humor um gets its moment in London because you have so many fun like Easter eggs. You have Jane Austen, you have the Elephant
Yeah,
Man,
Mhm.
even the blind guy that he steals. Did he
yeah, he
steal a
did.
cane from the
Yeah.
Yeah,
blind
he's
guy?
Yeah,
so
he takes the cane.
That's a reference to the the character from Treasure Island. Um oh,
Oh
what's his
yeah.
name?
What? Which
Chris,
the
you know
French
this
guy?
one. The
Yeah, he was
blind
French.
guy.
Yeah, he was French. I want to say like
Blind
blind.
Pew.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was like there are so many references to, like iconic figures, like if not Londoniers, then at least like European.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I just loved it because I was like watching that London landscape. I was like, is Sweeney Todd gonna be around the corner? You know, like just
Yeah.
with the meat pie
It,
shop.
it
Like
it definitely
it was
made
really
it
cool.
made London feel like what it would feel like, honestly.
Yeah.
I thought they might be putting in like a Jack the Ripper somewhere because he's like, oh, people that live alone are usually serial killers and
Serial
everything.
killer.
So I was figuring something might be like that, like a Jekyll and Hyde, or
Yeah.
you know, uh, so something like that. But they didn't put that in, which was another thing that in the very beginning I thought that this was your normal pirate average colonial film. It's set in the 1700s, and pirates are going through in colonial England. And then you get into London, and it is
Yeah, I mean
not
at the
at
beginning of the
all
movie, I think it
that.
did
And
mention that
then
it was like in the 1800s, but we jokingly during the movie looked up a bunch of stuff that when was this invented?
Oh
And there were a lot of things
yeah.
technology-wise that they used that like a lot of people don't understand. Like the latter half of the 1800s, there was a huge technological advancement. Uh,
Oh yeah.
Like there were some discrepancies,
yeah, it's
obviously,
also
with the
jokes too.
period,
Yeah,
but
so
like every time something like technologically advanced that I thought was advanced, I'd be like, okay, was that invented yet then? And a lot of it
yeah.
actually was, aside from the fact that there was a toilet flush, which Alina brought it up. She was like, "Oh, London was gross back then because they didn't have a good sewage system." And then, like 5 minutes later, we hear a toilet flush,
Yeah.
and like, but like a lot of technological advances actually happened in the late 1800s, like an elevator.
Albeit it probably wasn't as nice an
It was
elevator.
not, yeah.
yeah, with elevator
Obviously,
music.
not
That
a
elevator
mechanical
music was made
dress.
before the elevator.
Then. Um, Flashing whale teeth probably didn't exist back then.
Like stage light. Well, and the
I want that
pirate
entrance.
king, he had a like rocket ship clam that like flew him
Yeah.
around.
Well,
Yeah,
and he was dressed like
but
Elvis.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that was all that is fun though. All
And they
that's
Honestly,
fun
had
like
because
all
like
Henry
it
pirates
on
it
dress
too.
puts
like Elvis
it
back
does
then.
have a
yeah.
small level of like with the joke there is a little bit of realism with some of that
Oh yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, speaking of that, you know the Society of Eating Rare
Yeah.
Animals? Um, that actually has a grain of truth in it. It wasn't, I don't think Queen
And
Elizabeth
Queen
was part
Victoria.
of it. But Queen Victoria. But Charles Darwin was, and it wasn't a society dedicated to eating necessarily rare and endangered species, but it was kind of like it was called the Glutton and Gourmet Society or something like that.
Oh,
And they like to try um unusual animals, like they would eat parakeets or like try a porcupine, and they did eat weird animals, and that was the whole part of like being part of that
they
society.
better not have eaten a dodo bird though.
Dodo birds were already extinct, my guy.
That's what you think. That's what the
Yeah.
fucking government wants you to
Listen,
think.
listen. I found out a lot of things existed back then that I didn't know existed then.
Yeah, they
Okay,
wouldn't have put it in a movie if
Yeah,
it
are
didn't
you going to tell
exist.
me that the sea monsters on the maps aren't real? Because that movie fucking proved it.
that I mean not Zeus, Poseidon on the map
Yeah,
wasn't real.
and
Are you
it
kidding
makes
me,
so much
Josh?
sense why there's dots
Get out of
They
behind
here.
people as they
actually hit
follow
them
on
around.
maps now. Because people are throwing things in the
That
ocean.
that
Yeah,
was so
that was one of my
hilarious to
favorite
me, is
jokes. Yeah.
throwing the yeah, because everyone in movies shows these little dots, and then to actually have someone reference that was so funny.
Yeah.
It's good.
Um,
All right, is there another?
Just because, hold
Well,
on.
we kind of talked about. Oh,
Just because
sorry.
I have to, Zachary, the dodo bird went extinct in 1662.
Oh, 7 more years and it would have been better.
Really,
I
I didn't know it was that recent. Honestly,
mean, in the movie, Darwin does say that it's only been extinct for about 150 years.
Yeah, but what the fuck did
yeah.
Darwin
True.
know?
Obviously, nothing. He was too busy simping Queen Victoria.
Well, he did figure out that
I
if you
mean, he
cover
was
a monkey's
markedly selected in
buttocks
the
and give it
movie.
a monocle, it enhances their intelligence. So,
Listen, it's science, okay? Um, where would we be without Darwin today, huh? We would be.
Christians would still rule the world.
they
They still do
I was
rule the
gonna
world.
say, they don't?
bird society would be highly more advanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit
No, they
though.
would be as advanced as the
They'd
human
be able
race. In
to
fact, they would
simple
be. We
tools.
would be afraid of them, like we're kind of afraid of other countries making nukes. Instead, they made nukes 20 years before we did. So
And the birds don't need to make
Yeah,
planes to bomb us.
it's true. They could just
that's
bring the
true.
nukes themselves.
Don't birds already bomb us?
Yeah, true. They've naturally been training for thousands of years, so
Yep.
millions of years.
So we kind of talked about like making the costumes for the puppets, but I want to talk about the costume changes. Those were so funny. Like just the
We're not pirates. We're Girl Scouts.
And then everyone's like, "Oh,
like
yes, 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 Girl Scouts, yes." It's like that's only for
And then
and
and
he's
then
like,
they
only
tweeted,
scientists are allowed. So you have to give me, and they look. It's like we're not scientists. Well, we're not pirates. We're
We're
scientists. It's
scientists.
like they all have.
and
No one else is wearing white coats and has a pipe.
Also,
yeah,
everybody but the pirate captain has on the bald caps.
yeah, and it was so funny that they did this thing like he knew, like Charles Darwin knew that what they were doing, but they acted like he didn't. Oh no, it's okay. It's still us.
Yeah.
Oh, see, oh, he pulls his glasses off. It's still us, and it's like, oh yeah, like taking your glasses off makes that better. Makes it. Oh, now I get it. But then also, with their costumes, um, and those disguises, and he goes up to the guy and he's like, yes, we're scientists, and he's like, name three elements, and he's like, um, gold, ham, and like mermaid
Mermaid tears
something,
is
and
like.
he's like, two out of
I am
2 out of 3
convinced
close enough.
ham was the
Three.
other correct one. I am convinced.
It has to be. Everybody in this world loves ham.
Unless you're
um
Jewish.
I think we're
Um,
discriminating against vegans, Josh. And
No,
Listen,
vegetarians.
everybody in the Pirates
eh,
Band of Misfits world loved ham.
That's true.
It was everywhere.
And that universe, it was all
listen,
about
I know a
ham.
handful
Yeah.
of vegans that miss the taste of ham, but they don't want it, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah, it makes
That
sense.
makes sense.
I guess.
what do you mean you guess?
I guess. We've talked about almost everything. I kind of want to talk about like writing and story. Like it's a very simple story, but it was so effective.
Yeah.
It was
Really.
packed with very well timed, very well flowing jokes. The story kept going beat after beat after beat, and I don't think there was really any time that you felt overwhelmed or underwhelmed. I felt like it hit that happy middle ground.
Yeah, I noticed there wasn't a time where I was bored, and
yeah,
and there's
it
there's moments
moves
in
at a
all
nice
of my
pace.
favorite. Yeah, there's moments in all like in a lot of my favorite movies where I feel bored. Like even if it's just like for a minute, where this one scene took a little bit too long, but like I didn't notice a time in that whole movie where I was bored. I just like, I enjoyed it. And I
Someone should
thought,
show this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead, Jonah.
Oh, I was just gonna say someone should show this to Rogers and Hammerstein, because like Sound of Music and
We don't
yeah,
talk about
um,
those guys.
I'm excited during those for about two
Please never talk
seconds.
about
Okay.
that show again.
Sound of
Well,
Music has my attention for about
Is it the
5 seconds to
Nazis
maybe
that
a
gets your
minute.
attention?
Yeah,
That's what.
no, I'm not. I'm gonna take that back. It is not the
It's the
Nazis.
guns
It
at the
is
end.
obviously the children's bedtime song.
Oh.
oh, the High on the Hill goat herd thing.
No, the my favorite thing.
No, he's saying
Oh yeah,
goodbye,
that one.
so long.
Well,
Off
everybody,
you
this
Everyone
has
Or
been
has
your
the
their
review
tonight.
for
days
the
and
Sound of
begun.
Mucus.
Yeah,
All
it
right.
has.
The
I'm
Sound of
so used
Mucus.
to
We
That
saying
might
talked
be a
Sound
better
of
about the
show.
Mucus.
sound.
I tried correcting myself halfway through music and it didn't work. So,
Although this could lead us into talking about the sound and the
ah,
music of
hey.
Very Strong
I
Misfits.
the music
Alina
Um,
knows how to
Oh
yeah,
keep
yeah,
it
us on
used a lot
track.
of like.
good.
I'm pretty sure I didn't look it up.
alternative
There was.
rock.
I'm pretty sure Flight of the Concords did that one of the songs in the movie,
It is.
and
I looked it up
was it?
because it was Flight of
Oh,
the
I
Condor
recognized
Concord.
Jermaine's voice. I was like, "That's fucking Flight of the Concords," and it was such a silly song. I'm like, "There's no way it wasn't anybody else."
I know. My favorite, I love the I'm Not Crying song because the lyrics are just funny. It's like, I'm not crying, it's just been raining on my face. I'm not crying. My eyes are just a little sweaty today. So good.
Yeah, I really like. I just enjoy that alternative rock style, and I really enjoyed that in the movie. I thought it was great.
I thought the music was really good. Especially that theme that they kind of play throughout the whole entire thing. That opens the movie. Um, just and this is not the just singing. The singing fit really well. You know the songs that had lyrics, but the music that was written, that was just the instrumental music, was also really nice too.
Oh yeah,
Um, and
yeah, yeah. Like the battle
yeah, it
scene
just
between the
yeah.
pirate captain and Queen Elizabeth, no,
Victoria.
Queen Victoria.
Get your queen straight, boys. We're gonna offend an entire nation. Okay.
Hey, do I sound British to you?
Only British people know British history. That's the rule.
Listen, we fought
I know
against
British
Zach,
history.
what's
monarchy,
the name
Chris.
of our 23rd president?
All right, this doesn't
Obama.
have to do with
Okay,
the
back to the
movie.
movie.
Back to the movie.
um, yeah. Uh, the last thing we have is directing.
Oh, so it was directed by Peter Lord. He also did a lot of the like kind of the no-name character voices. And like he did
So like
all
the
the other
police
Aardman.
officers and stuff like that.
Yeah, and he
Hmm.
like he was part of Chicken Run. He was part of like all the Wallace and Grommets. So,
Nice.
Peter
Hmm.
Lord is very, very, very British.
That was a good accent.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. I practiced for months.
That's been Jonah talking
I
this
Um,
don't
whole
know if you want
time.
to say anything more about it. I just
yes,
wanted
I've
to
been.
mention it was Peter Lord.
Well, again, like directing stop motion, insane. Like I'd probably, oh yeah,
It takes a
like I
special
would
talent.
want to dip my head in acid before I direct an entire stop motion feature film. I'm sorry, like
Oh
I just
well, we're doing that. We're
Yeah.
doing that short that series. So Zach, you can direct an episode. But I will say it is hard because when you pre-visualize a shot or you make a shot list or whatever, and you see something in your mind of how you want it to go, it's not telling the actors this is what you want to do and then shoot that and then be able to watch playback right there and then say, okay, I want to change this. There we go. It is so hard that I would do something and I say I don't like how that looks, but it's going to take me another 5 hours to reanimate this, so we're moving on.
yeah,
Um,
but I
it
guess
is
Hmm.
your vision is more malleable though. Like unless you get good actors that that are very malleable and can do whatever you want them to do, like uh like then it's hard as an acting director to be like, if an actor isn't giving you something, then you can then you're kind of stuck with whatever the actor is giving you. But I guess with a pro of stop motion is you can literally mold it. No, like even if it takes a long time, you can literally mold it to exactly what you want, you
Yeah,
know?
true.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, another thing is that well, this is what Leica Studios does. I don't know if this studios does it, but all of the lines or most of the lines are already recorded, um, and already there so that they can play through the lines and listen to the lines and animate the mouth to that while it's there. Now, when I do the Lego animations, all the mouth is digital, so I can
Mhm.
animate first and then record, and then I go in the computer and I animate the mouth to what was recorded there.
Mhm.
But everything has to be recorded at that time. So all acting choices and all that stuff have to be made before they even see the director even sees the character even well sees the character in action and doing all that stuff. All that has to be recorded so that when they get there and start animating it, they can already just hammer that out.
Yeah.
So
And
it
that helps
it
a lot.
feels more difficult
Um,
from a directing point of view.
and like a studio does do that, it's very common for stop motion. I think that's the main way that they do it. Um, but it also helps the animators a lot because they can just watch what mouth shapes
Yeah,
the actor is doing. And, if the actor starts getting physical, they can bring some of that life or get inspired to bring some of that in to the character that they're animating.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when you're doing voiceover for a cartoon, your director's going to be in that studio watching
That's
you the
true.
whole
yeah,
time you're doing it, so that they kind of know the physicality that they need to have
Yeah.
their
yeah,
animators doing.
It's extra steps, but I feel like as a director, you are able to mold it easier, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh,
I th- I think the hard part with directing any kind of animation, and specifically like stop motion, on top of just like the sheer amount of work it would take, is making sure that your voice actors are actually able to project with their voice what you
mhm.
want to
Yeah,
see.
very true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you you need to it. So my one of my acting teachers, she has a story of when she got hired as a voice actress, and like they kept like telling her to like change her voice and to like change her voice, and she kept taking the notes, but they were finally like, we just we just don't want your voice actually. And it was like
Aw.
it hurt her obviously, but it was like, yeah, like you, I don't know, it's a very different realm of acting, because even with voice acting, it doesn't matter what you look like as long as you can shape your voice to what yeah.
Yeah, you need to have
Mhm.
complete control over your voice in order to be a voice actor.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a lot of
However,
work.
please cast responsibly. You don't want to accidentally hurt someone and make them upset, and then maybe piss them off for future projects where you're like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, I
exactly.
want their voice.
Or
Oh no, I'm
or
not
go
coming back
down
to
the
work
other
with
road
you.
and just burn every fucking bridge you see.
It sounds
If you burn
Only
every
voice act.
bridge,
Like if
you're
you're gonna do a
constantly
project,
building
one
bridges.
actor,
Oh
you, the
wow.
producer, director, you just are every role. Okay.
okay. Well, it sounds like
That's
we're
what
not
I
talking
do.
about pirates anymore. I don't know.
Oh,
I
I
think
thought
we're
it.
at any lasting thoughts about the movie?
Yes, I loved all of these little things that they put in there that made it so much more
Yeah.
enjoyable. And all these little moments, like at the end, he's like, you can't just say R and make everything fine. That doesn't just fix everything. Or the entrance that one day I would love to have is that whale. Everyone's always teasing me, what's it like in the belly of the whale? If I could just like exit the room and then just smash the whale through the doors, tongue rolls out, I walk out with
That
like gold
what
coins
a
and everything,
great
and I'm just like,
entrance.
oh, it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yes, your name
But
is
like
Jonah. That's so
like
good.
1 minute earlier when
Yeah.
the lady pirate comes in and she just fucking kills a dude and no one talks about it. And it's like there was
Yeah.
a lot of people that got killed in this movie. I was like, what the
Oh yeah,
hell?
like the freaking guy that just hugged the
Oh yeah.
anchor
He
twice.
killed like a
Twice
and
at
there
the
were just like
guy.
people dying. All the people on that ship fucking died. It was like, what the hell?
This was definitely a British comedy.
Yep.
Yeah. And then like smashing the boat, like they went to the Blood Island and they smashed his boat, and then when they went to London he was there too, and they smashed it again and then dropped an ancient
They
through his ship.
just hurt
um
that guy over and over again.
yeah. And then like the pulling into
Yep.
the port, and it's making car noises. It's
Yeah,
like beep
or
beep
the
beep
screeching of
and everything, and then the
God, it
yeah
was killing me when it started doing the
yeah, when they
truck
yeah
started
backing up.
Hold
going
on.
away and it's just the
When was
tires
that
screeching.
invented, though? When was that
or
invented?
What?
Cars?
Zach,
Cars weren't invented
Zach,
then.
Jesus.
back in ancient
Oh,
Egypt,
pieces
they had a
of
bicycle
shit.
horn, and when chariots would back up or whatever, they'd be
That's the noise.
so
And people were
that's
like,
when they
what the hell
invented
is
it.
that?
Yeah. After
Okay.
a
All
few
right.
people got ran over, they
I
put the
I
pieces together.
think
Um,
with that, I think we've successfully reviewed this movie. It
I think
was
we're ready to
Yeah.
yeah,
go.
I think honestly, it was a very good movie. It was funny. There was a good it was a type of funny that yeah, you like even people who are some that can be somewhat prudish or what we consider a lot for like American animation and everything like that would very much enjoy this movie.
Mm-hmm.
oh, and I
What
will
grade would
say,
you
I
give it?
do want a bouncy ship, because like everywhere they're like bouncing on the water, and like they get spit out of the big sea monster's mouth at the end, and the ship just bounces. That would be fun.
All right. Should we start
Yeah.
Yep.
grading it? Chris, what grade would you give it?
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah.
this exceeded every single expectation, and I laughed basically the entire movie. So I think this. I honestly am going to give
Mm-hmm.
this an A quality of movie. I think it was very good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, what about you, Jonah?
Um, this was a really great movie. First time watching it this weekend, and I really enjoyed it. It was hilarious. I laughed through a lot of different parts, so it gets an A for animation, for the acting, for the music, for everything. It was great.
All right, Josh.
Um, I got to be honest with you guys. I really love the animation, um, and everybody involved in this is just phenomenal. Um, I liked the comedy, but seriously, like half an hour after we finished the movie, I couldn't remember most of what I'd just watched. It just kind of didn't stick for me. Um, so honestly, yesterday I would have
Ooh.
given this a
Okay.
C, hands down. But talking to you guys, I'm thinking like a B.
Okay.
I respect that.
Um. All right. Yeah. My expectations, like Chris, they were exceeded. I will agree with you, Josh, that there are like a lot of it was cheap humor. You-
It's not that it was cheap; it was just not
mm,
memorable for
yeah.
me. Like it just slipped right through. I didn't retain
Mm,
anything that happened.
okay. But yeah, I'd say I'll give this. I think I'll give this an A. It exceeded my expectations. Uh, and I just thought it was a solid movie. You, Alina?
Um, I mean, I have to give it an A too, and it's probably biased just because I really love Aardman Studios and I just love animation in general. But I just want to say I really appreciate you guys like picking or like taking my recommendation for this movie. I was actually really nervous because I thought that it would. I thought that I suggested it too quickly, and I started regretting suggesting it when you guys took it seriously as a recommendation. Because I thought you guys were just gonna smash it to the ground and pee all over it. But I really appreciate this conversation was really great, and I really loved hearing your feedback. So I really appreciate you guys taking my animation recommendation.
Cut to us smashing the movie on the ground
A
and peeing on
DVD,
it.
yeah, and just all peeing on it at once.
Giving this movie an F
Um,
minus.
all right, I think that averages out to A minus because most of us
Yeah,
gave it
I
an
think
A.
so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All right, cool. A minus. We still have yet to reach an A or an A plus or even an S. But uh our next
Zach, I think you're forgetting Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black
Oh,
Pearl.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
We did
Yeah, that
give
movie
that an A.
fucking sucked.
Uh,
Jack
Um,
Sparrow? What kind of stupid ass name is that?
Get out of my
Well,
house.
I have a sparrow, and he's jacked up, so that's Jack Sparrow.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
yeah.
Anyway.
Tune
All
in
right,
next
let's-
time where we will be reviewing a modern day real life pirate story, Captain Phillips. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That'll be
Woohoo.
exciting for
Yeah.
everybody.
Follow us at Fortin Horseman on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube,
LinkedIn.
and
You can follow me on Instagram
that's
and
true.
check out the cool art that I'm doing for my bachelor degree.
That's also true. Yeah, follow us on those things as well as Nightmare. Josh wrote and directed it.
Yeah.
It came
Came
out
out
yesterday. It's on YouTube. Yeah, check that out. We have released 3 films, and we're making another film this upcoming December called The Life of Pi. It's not what you think. It's not what you think. It is not
We
about
do
a
kill a
person named
tiger.
Pi.
We do kill a tiger.
It's
Um,
just 20 minutes of us
It is
saying
about
all the
Pi.
numbers that of infinity pi goes to. So
Yep.
But not like
Um,
memorizing them, we're just reading them off of a screen.
And then we look up a Wikipedia article on how to actually do pie.
okay, everybody.
Yep.
Thanks for listening.